Hey, what's up, you guys? Anjola here, and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I'm really sorry that I haven't been able to make time to make videos for the past few months. I just needed to take a little break with myself, focus on myself, focus on my educational life. But now I'm back and better than ever. And I feel like I'm starting a whole new phase in life, and I found a new purpose for myself. And I'm just starting a whole new fresh page in my book. But now let's get on to the topic of today. Today we're going to be talking about fracking. Fracking is basically the extraction of oil from underground, and they use it to make different materials in the outside world. For example, plastic, which of course, as you guys know, I have a big problem with. But the thing about my videos is I want to make sure I'm not making everything so biased and showing only my side towards it. We have to make sure it's equalized. So I'm going to be talking about the good version of fracking and the bad version of fracking, why we should keep it and why we should stop it. So let's get right into it. First of all, the good side of fracking. I don't technically agree with the good side, but there is a lot of people that would be affected, and you can't just ignore all the good things about fracking. So one of the good things about fracking is a lot of people are making a lot of money from it. Like, if there's a very big amount of oil in one specific place underground, the person who owns that plot of land, or the person who lives on it even, will get a lot of money. And for those people who do fracking for business professionally, then if we just stopped fracking completely, we would just be stripping them of their livelihood, the way they make money, the way they provide for themselves, or the way they provide for their family, which is one of the reasons why we cannot just get rid of fracking that instantly. There's also the issue of how, fracking is used. It's used for plastic, and you would be amazed by how many actual everyday things that we use are actually made from plastic. That's why myself, I can't just say, oh, fracking is bad, we need to get rid of it, because I would be taking away a lot of things I use in my daily life if I just got rid of fracking. My computer, like the rim of my computer, is made of plastic. My mouse to control my computer is made of plastic. My keyboard is made of plastic. My cups are made from plastic. Even some of my kitchen utensils are made from plastic, and the plastic is pretty much everywhere. So you cannot just get rid of it that quickly. So as I said, we cannot just get rid of fracking that easily, but there are ways that we can just, ease on out of it, just make it less time, the amount we spend on it, and try and be resourceful and make things reusable, but then again, we would be stripping a lot of people of their livelihood and how people live normally. So obviously it's not that easy. Now, my personal favorite meaning what I agree with the most, the bad side of fracking. Now, of course, we get the oil for fracking from underground, so they have to drill underground to get that oil, which means if there's a specific forest or even park where there's a lot of oil underground, they will not stop to cut down trees to make sure that they get to that little plot of land. And as I've expressed in my previous videos, I am very against cutting trees down, because like I said, they give us oxygen, and you know what? They just bring me a personal happiness, me seeing trees. I used to love them when I was younger. I would sometimes climb them. Well, I would get in trouble for that, but let's not focus on that. Then there's the issue of those plots of land that they just extract oil from. When they cover it back over, because they've drilled into it, they've messed with the soil a little bit, like, trees can't be regrown there. So they just use the wasteland, for things like landfill. Landfill is when, plastic isn't biodegradable, so it can't wear down into the earth. They have to just store it in huge piles, like all over the earth. And that is really bad for our environment, because eventually when, we overpopulate, for example, and we need more houses, or we need more workplaces, those plots of land that we use for landfill, we could have easily used to build buildings or build places or cafes or anything, to be honest. So that is one of my personal dislikes of fracking and how it affects our environment. Now, this is quite a negative turn on fracking because it does not only affect our environment, but it affects our people as well. In places like Korea and Thailand, because that's where we normally ship off the plastic to, and many other countries, when we can't find any more place for it, they don't know how to, they don't really want to just store it in huge piles, because you've seen places like Korea and Thailand. They are beautiful places, so many beautiful landmarks, and I don't think that they would want to tarnish that beautiful land just because we just gave them a lump of plastic and said, oh, well, it's your problem now, you know? So the only way they can not really get rid of it, but kind of grind it down, is if they burn it. Now, burning it, all those particles, even though they're not on the ground anymore, they go into the air and they pollute the air, which, as I've expressed in my previous video, I'm also very, very against air pollution, you know? And all those particles, when we breathe them in, it is so, so bad for all our lungs and our intestines. And it's proven that most of the time, people who have things like asthma or heart disease or anything that's wrong with all their organs, it's mostly because of the air that we breathe in and how polluted it actually is. And once I watched this show, and there was this little girl, she must not have been older than 6 or 7. She had asthma and she had problems with her heart, and she goes outside a lot because she loves to play outside. And because of all the polluted air, it made her heart condition way, way, way worse, you know, to the extent where she would get nosebleeds or she'd start coughing up blood in the morning. And that is honestly a horrible thing to be happening to such a young child. I'm pretty sure it's not only children that it happens to adults as well, all over the world, where they don't have any choice but to actually burn all of that plastic, which makes it really sad, which is again one of the big no-nos of fracking that I'm really, really against. Most countries all over the world, most continents even, they have banned fracking because they see that the things I'm talking about are really, really bad for the environment. Places like France, Germany, and the United States have already banned fracking all over their land, so it's no longer accepted because technically there are not more better ways, but different ways of getting plastic, and fracking is just one of the most dangerous ways to do it. Now, another thing about infecting our people is fracking. When the oil is extracted from underground, when there are batches that are bad, you know, they can't put it back into the ground. What they do is they either dump it in the ocean, or somehow when there's a gas leak in one of the big companies that are holding gas, it can leak into the ocean. And not only does that affect and kill our sea life, we eat that sea life. So technically it affects and slowly starts to kill us, because those fishes that are getting sick or dying, you know, when people who make a living out of fishing, they don't see what's actually wrong with the fish, or whether or not they've swallowed a piece of plastic or consumed some gas, you know, they just fish and it reproduces through, you know, the stores and the packaging areas, and eventually we start eating them, you know, which is very bad for us. And then again, the gas that goes into the seas, we end up drinking that water sometimes, because it's not all the time that the water we drink is safe, because it's not all the time that those companies can get every single little bit of gas out of that water. So it is very, very dangerous, especially for people who live in the countryside, who live directly off of things like seawater or river water. It is really, really dangerous, and it could affect and make sick and die for a lot of people, you know? And then one of the most sad things that fracking has caused is fracking in the last 2 or 3 years, especially in places like the United States, have caused a lot of earthquakes. And, you know, because when you retrieve the oil out of the ground sometimes starts to corrode, which is actually what causes earthquakes in the first place. Not only are people forced to move out of their homes, but some people have died as a result of earthquakes, which really makes this whole thing really, really sad. Now, like I said, even though I have given you more cons than pros when it comes to fracking, it's not something that's going to be easy or something that is just going to be that quick to get rid of, as it does not only have a domino effect on our environment, but it does have a domino effect on people. Now, that's all I have for today, and I really hope you do take everything I've said into consideration. There are little things you can do within, your neighborhood or your town that can help contribute to things like this. There are so many websites that you can look up and see what you personally can do to help our environment. Even things like going to school and asking your teachers, they will for sure give you either a lesson or a leaflet or a website that you can look into to see how you can help and to find out about these things for yourself, which is how I learned about this personally. That's all for today. Anjola K25 here. Out.